Mr. Quentin Holmes, how you feeling, man?
All good, all good. I'm feeling really good. Yourself?
Oh man, I can't complain, man. Just like I said, I had to had to re-energize, man. Had to get a quick nap in after working with the kiddos today. Um, so yeah, man, I'm feeling good, feeling like $1,000,000.
As you should.
Oh man, family's well.
Family's doing great. Just busy as always, but doing busy doing good things we want to do. So
Absolutely,
can't ask more than that.
absolutely, man. I'm digging your setup. You got Dr. King in the background, man.
Yeah, so I love that. The whole "I have a dream" speech, and so I've always loved that. So yeah, that's a nice little thing. I got that, and I got you can't see it off the camera here, but I got my Michigan up as well. So representing school, big
There-
week for us, Michigan State. So
Absolutely, that's right. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, man, we got to talk about that too, man. Just the affinity for Michigan and all that kind of good stuff, man.
oh, absolutely.
And I know it runs deep into your childhood.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you already know I'm tied. I'm tied up by. I'm tied up between a couple of different teams. Well, actually, so growing up, grew up a SC fan, football fan, right? Because they were the hottest thing going, and they trying to come back, but recently, had a small affinity for WSU, Washington State, and of course, where my two boys are right now. Cute. Hey
All
man,
right.
I was thinking you left me because I mentioned USC, man.
No, 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 no. It just dropped on me. Apologies for that.
Oh
So
no, you good, you good, you good. I was like,
SC,
dang. I was like,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, I mentioned SC, and he was like, I'm out of here.
No, SC on the come up, man. Actually, SC is about to join the Big Ten. So not only do y'all got the right coach, but y'all about to join the Big Ten. So getting in the right conference. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
perfect.
absolutely.
I'm
No,
hoping that Michigan plays SC and UCLA out here, so I can actually catch them. So
yeah, that'll be real cool, man. That'd be real cool. Let me see. I'm trying to look for the link where I can share. Share the live, and that way folks want to hop into our conversation or observe our conversation.
absolutely,
Internet has been acting kind of crazy over here, so we'll see. We'll see what's going on.
we'll make it work.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work, man. But no, I appreciate you hopping on with me tonight, man. And as soon as can I make this expanded, and let's go over here. If I click the video, I know it's gonna happen. There we go. All right. So if I want to
Listen,
share,
hey, when you are you going to talk about the books or the clothes first?
oh man, we could talk about either one. Which one would you
Okay.
prefer?
Well, I was going to say the reason why I was going to say the books is because the books came first,
Okay.
and then I kind of been into the clothes post pandemic. So that but actually the clothes was whole like coming out of pandemic concept, so it's more recent.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I think books. I've been doing the books since like 2009. So
Got you.
uh,
Got you.
the whole journey into the books, especially because that was some of it was like pre-marriage,
Yeah.
and so you know, um, it's interesting stories in there too, and so yeah. So if you want to go to the books first, then we can talk about the clothes later, or however you want to do it, man. Mix and match how you want to do it. So yeah, I'm just happy to share and then talk about it more so than just talking about the products, but even just the stories, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's really what I'm interested in about. Just the story behind the
yeah.
whole thing. And let me see. I think I can. I got a couple of minutes over here. Let me see if I can tag you.
Okay. Yeah, you tag me, it'll go right on my page. Anybody that tags go straight to the page.
Okay, you. I see. I got some spammers on my page right now.
Yep.
That's not cool.
And tag.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to West Coast Wednesday, man, coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side, and hopefully you're doing well wherever you are. Um, Man, we have a wonderful, wonderful show, a wonderful guest, a friend of mine who happens to be an entrepreneur and a businessman and a storyteller and an author and a father and a husband. And, just, I'll go ahead and say it again, an entrepreneur, just a pretty dope dude. And, glad that, he's one of my friends. So, we actually met from our wives, through our wives. And so just cool. We've been able to kind of hang out a little bit on a couple of trips. And so just a real down-to-earth, cool dude. So we're going to welcome Mr. Quentin Holmes to the show. However, before we get into all that good stuff, man, let me go ahead and just, do some pleasantries, just kind of get the housekeeping out the way right now. So if you're watching right now live, it looks like I do have a spammer somewhere watching. But if you are watching live and would like to join in on all the fun, do me a favor, just drop something in the comments. Just let me know that you're here. And if you happen to watch the replay, then you can either say, hey, replay squad, Mr. Riley, or Mr. Riley's World, appreciate what you're doing. Just kind of let me know, what you're doing and, where you're tuning in, where you're watching from. And so that would be really, really cool. And if you have not done so already, you can go ahead and, especially on YouTube, go ahead, definitely like this video, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. And then also hit that notification bell at some point. I believe YouTube is moving the notification bell somewhere around or changing it to a different color. But please make sure you hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a brand new video. And then, of course, we just mentioned YouTube. So that's a wonderful way to connect with me, to watch several of my West Coast Wednesday videos. And that will be really, really cool. That's probably one of the best places where you can find all of that information. And then also, if you want to support the channel, I guess, I'm kind of like a solopreneur trying to do something on my own. Go ahead and hit my buy me a coffee. You can buy me a couple of coffees, and that way, basically, you'll be supporting the show. And so really appreciate that monetarily. So you can buy me a couple of coffees if you wouldn't. That would be very, very cool. And then last but not least, we have, I have several people asking me, hey, how do you have, or what do you have when you go live? Well, you can go over to kit.co/Mr. Riley's World, and you can kind of take a look at just some of the things that I have in my live stream setup, from my fitness setup and my on-the-go setup. So, it's taken some time to get to that point where, I've had, I have a lot of equipment over here, and so not all at once, little by little. And so you can kind of check out what my home studio looks like. And then I can even help you put it together if you're really, really interested. So go ahead and take a look at kit.co /Mr. Riley's World. Well, we got all the pleasantries out the way. We got the housekeeping business out the way. And so before we do that, let's go ahead and hop into one of the comments that we have right now. And my niece, Bethany, let me see if I can pull you up real quick. There you are. She says, hey, Uncle Jimmy. Hey there, Bethany. How are you? It's good to see you on here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. And we appreciate you. Hopefully, stick around a little bit. I know last week we had a guest who was supposed to show up, who was scheduled to show up, but he kind of get things mixed up. So we did connect. We did connect with Marcus Thompson. And so we're trying to negotiate a time when he can come back on the show and give him some screen time as well. So I appreciate you, Bethany, for watching. But let's go ahead and get into this introduction real quick of my man, Quentin Holmes. So he is an author. He's an entrepreneur. He's a brand creator. He's dedicated his life to empowering the world's youth through trendsetting literature, media, and fashion. The son of a hardworking father whose career advancement moved the family to nearly every region in the country. Quentin has gained exposure from people in all walks of life. He's earned his bachelor's degree in mass communication from the University of Michigan, and he's a proud Wolverine. We'll talk about that as well. And then further enriching his perspective on social diversity. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's welcome my friend to the show, Mr. Quentin Q. Holmes. There you
Hey,
go.
Mr. White.
Hey, what's going on, sir? Sir, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great, man. Excited to be here and connecting with you and loving what you're doing with the show. And just like your creativity and the space. And so, man, appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely, man. I'm still over here trying to work on our me sharing the YouTube link, but it's all good, man. No, I appreciate you hopping on, having the opportunity to hop on the Wednesday, on this West Coast Wednesday, coming to you live from the
Yep.
West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. I appreciate you hopping on, man. So let's go ahead and hop into it, man. But even before we, kind of break the ice and talk about who you are, where you came from, what you do,
Yep.
you being a brand a brand creator and all that kind of good stuff. Let's go ahead and break the ice this way, man. And I know we didn't talk about it during the beginning, but I made this I made this backdrop last week. Were you a big or are you a big Halloween dude? I mean, I know you have two young kids, so do you
Yeah.
guys kind of do Halloween, have fun with it?
Yeah, we definitely have as you mentioned, I have two kids. I have a son that's 6 and my daughter is 8. And so I think like having kids definitely pulls you into Halloween and all the fun that comes with it. And so I mean it's not my favorite holiday, but because they get so into it and they want to dress up, they want to get candy, their schools have activities. It's like I mean, it's just a fun moment. So it's just like and then even going to get the pumpkin, carving it and all the activities that kind of come around it. And we just have fun with it at the end of the day. So it's if they loving it and it's a good moment for them, I'm like, let's go with it and let's have fun. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I should say, being a father of four kids, we really didn't do Halloween up very, very big. I mean, a couple of times we did when the kids were, when all of them kind of really recognized what Halloween was. But, we didn't do like the big, you know, scary costumes in the yard and spider
yeah,
webs and all that. Now, we kind of did that in our classrooms as teachers. We kind of did that a couple of times. I know I did.
mhm,
I think even Riley did at one point. But we just kind of the kids now they're a little bit older and they used to just kind of walk in our neighborhood and just kind of get the candy, you know.
yep, yep. That's the main thing going anyway. They just
Absolutely,
want that
man.
exactly.
That's it. That's it. But I think now since we're kind of getting older, we're the house that has the lights off during Halloween,
Yep,
and
ain't nothing wrong with that either. So hey, that can be your
yeah,
downtime a bit.
yeah,
So now I hear you. Hey, that's different seasons though, because like I said, if I might be that same way too when the kids get older and I'm past that. But right now I'm in the thick of it, and they just, I mean, you have trunk or treats at school,
yeah.
and yeah, we just came off because my son's in Cub Scouts, and so we did a whole. They have this thing called Cubbaree, and so it's a camping trip. On Saturday night there was like a costume contest, and so it's everybody's doing something from school to different activities. So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
really what they into is kind of end up being something you just end up having fun with it. So
Man, you just kind of, over here we just kind of go with the flow with Riley World, right? So, I mean, and there's been times when we've had the lights on and we've bought candy, and I think
yep,
last year, especially during COVID, I don't think too many people, went house to house. I think last year people did, and so
yep.
I would imagine, especially with Halloween being on a weekend or Monday, that it's going to be everything is off. We about to go ahead and do Halloween really, really big again, like we used to.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it to a certain extent, it definitely feels a bit more like it was in the past, as far as people getting out and activities and stuff like that, and just
Absolutely,
decorating all that stuff like that. But yeah, so
absolutely. All right, man. Let's go ahead and kind of introduce the people. Tell them who you are. You've already mentioned that you're a dad, and of
yeah,
course, you're a husband as well. So go ahead and just kind of let the people know. Give us a small intro. You know, to who you are, Mr. Q.
yeah. So I always like to start back at the beginning. So a lot of people don't know this about me.
Oh, I think we're. Let me see. We're frozen. Q, Q, can you hear me? I know. Yep. See, I knew that was it. So he had told me earlier when we were setting up that Spectrum had called him and let him know that the internet was going to be out. So let's kind of rejoin.
Yo,
Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
here. Oh, sorry about that. I don't
no,
know what happened.
you're good. I just told the people who are watching, I was like, hey, he did tell me earlier today that Spectrum reached out to you guys and said that you might have an interruption of service, but it is what it is, man. It's
Yeah,
technology. So okay, so you were talking about your
yeah. So what I was saying, yeah, my dad, he worked for the Boy Scouts for 37 years, and so in that type of space, every time you get a promotion, you have to move somewhere. So a big part of my youth growing up was, I was born in Ohio, moved to Michigan, and then ultimately made my way out here to California. So it was just all about a lot of just different experiences coming up as a kid, and just moving a lot and just having just different type of experiences, like from the Midwest to out here on the West. Spent a little time down south after college, and then ultimately landed here on the West Coast. And so I think my life has kind of been one of those things around just a lot of different experiences. And I've kind of channeled that along the way, you know, in terms of the experience I've had and how I've looked at the world and how I've been able to interact with so many different type of people from different walks of life. And so that's been a big part of like my journey. And so,
Got you. So that kind of leads us to the question about your affinity for Michigan. You grew up in Michigan, man. What was that like? I mean, you're in Michigan and now you're in California.
yeah.
Two different places, and especially what I'm primarily thinking about is just weather, right? Because here we have all four seasons, and I'm sure
Mhm.
you have maybe two and a half seasons over there in winter. Only because when it gets winter, it really
Yeah.
gets cold and snowy and all that kind of stuff. So kind of talk about growing up, compare and contrast California to Michigan.
Yeah, no, it's night and day, and I would just even say the Midwest because I also, like I said, I was born in Ohio, lived there for quite a bit as well. But I think to me, it was completely different lifestyles, completely different experience. I grew up in small towns in Michigan, not many people, really not very diverse at all. Just really black and white. That's pretty much it. And you just didn't really see that diversity. And you had talked about the weather. I mean, it's snow, freezing cold, and just as far as like the activities, things to do, it was a little. It wasn't as like, I mean, growing up in Michigan, or it was like to make it to Detroit or to make it to Chicago was like a big thing, which is totally different than being out here on the West Coast, where like there's so many more things to do and so many more experiences to have. And so I think as a child, but I loved it. Be honest with you, I mean, to me, I couldn't ask for anything better. Like I love the fact that I grew up in the Midwest for most of my early child years, just because I think it was much slower out there,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it was slower, and I think I love the people out there, the things we were able to do and experience out there, and the community. I think that's one of the biggest things I miss. I always say like I don't miss the weather, but I definitely miss the people. It's people, awesome people, man. So, and like I said, as the weather, it was crazy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's night and day compared to out here on the West Coast. But it was something I actually, when I look back on it, I'm really happy I had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
You think about, like I mentioned before, like I was a little Boy Scout back in the day because my dad's job, and we would scout, me and my brother and my friends. And so like going camping in like 3 feet of snow, it's like you look back on it now, it's like, the camping trip I took my son on like this weekend, it was like 60 degrees and I'm complaining, and I'm like, man, back then we was like 3 feet of snow up north and
Right.
everything.
Right.
Just it was just different back then. And also too, it's like in the Midwest, it was so different because you know, you know, you we I think out there in the Midwest, you're central, so
Hmm.
you just pull from different experiences, what was happening in New York or down
Hmm.
south or west. So, out here on West Coast, people love a lot of things here in the West, but out there, it's like you really draw from all the different types of coasts in the situation. So, yeah. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. We got a couple of comments. Let me just go ahead and see if I can bring them in. So we have Facebook user. Facebook user, you might want to come on over to YouTube. That way we can definitely see who you are. But I believe I know who this is. Someone says hi, Quentin, and I believe that's Riley. Riley saying hello
right.
there. So she's tuning in, and then we also have my other niece, Shanari Williams, watching as well. So. And she
Yep.
says, "Happy Wednesday." So thank you, Shanari, for tuning in. No, I haven't met too many people who I have a few friends, who made that transition from or still living in Michigan, and I'm sure it's a wonderful place. But for me, there's no place like home. You got all four seasons here,
Yep.
and I always just kind of think about the cold weather over there in the Midwest. So I
Yeah.
tip my hat to y'all folks who are in the Midwest dealing with all the cold and all the kind of craziness because man, it's
Yeah.
it's it's nice and cool over here and hot, and it doesn't get too cold. And it's
Yeah.
funny because folks in California, man, when it dips around like 50, they like, oh man, it's cold. I'm like, man,
Exactly.
this ain't cold.
And I've been here long enough to where I feel like, in a certain sense, I've kind of turned into that, but
Yeah,
which is crazy considering what we came from. So, but
absolutely.
yeah, but like I said, I wouldn't trade those early years for anything to have that experience because it was, yeah, it was. I mean, it was special out there, though, man. Michigan is a special place. I mean, you think of like Motor City and the
Yeah,
factories,
yeah,
um, all that was out there from Flint to Michigan, I mean, Detroit and all the different places, Saginaw and all of that. It was booming. And so just a lot of the early years and friendships that I still have out there. Like I said, I moved to California when I was in 10th grade. I moved out here in 94. I actually came out here 3 days before school started. And yeah, so it was like, I mean, you talking about like complete culture shock.
yeah.
I mean, for the first probably month I was out here, I kept calling my friends back in Michigan, was like, yo, I don't like it. I don't know nobody. And it was just like I want to go back to Michigan. But I mean, I was here and I had to just make the best of it. But it
Absolutely.
was like totally different. So, but now I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
really.
No, Cali's a cool spot, man. But I do want to circle back around and ask you a question because you said your dad was employed with the Boy Scouts of America for 37 years, man. That's that's
37 years.
that's a long time. Now, what kind of positions? I mean, because I think my mom tried to get me to do Boy Scouts when I was a kid. Um,
Yeah.
but man, I mean, and it just never dawned on me that you could
Yep.
actually have a career in the Boy
Yep.
Scouts. So just kind of talk about maybe some of the jobs that he did and just their
Yep.
effect on you, growing up and even now because I think you said your son is part of the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, so 37 years, which he was in that era of like, loyalty to your career, your company, and I mean, you moved. So the way the Boy Scout work is there's councils. So out here around where I live, it's like the Long Beach Council. So it'd be the Long Beach area, and then you run this entire council. So there's like one head person,
Mm-hmm.
an assistant, and then different layers and positions. And so back then, what would happen is, in order to get a promotion, if there wasn't one at your particular council, you would go to another council to get promoted. And so he started his career. He was actually, my brother was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and then I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and then we moved to Columbus, Ohio, and then we moved to Flint, Michigan, and then he moved here to Long Beach. But until he got to Long Beach, he was the head person for the Long Beach Council. It was kind of like working your way up. And so he became the head person over the council here in Long Beach. And then after leaving out of Long Beach, then he went to Dallas, Texas, where they're at now, and he's since retired. But the headquarters for Boy Scouts is in Irving, Texas. So you think all those individual councils kind of ladder up to this headquarters in Dallas, Texas. And so it was funny is when I tell people growing up, they was like, "Oh, your dad worked for the Boy Scout. What, he like a camp leader?" And I was like, "No, it's like it's a big nonprofit. It's like it's so it's a business to a certain extent to it."
Mhm.
And so yeah, so he was committed to the career. And I think for me, my brother, my sister, we learned a lot just as far as like just, how he moved through that ranks, and it was just inspiring. And the program itself, it's just different. Like we did all the sports stuff, and we did all the church stuff too. But I feel like when it came to Cub Scouts, it was that outdoor type of experiences and all that we got out of that we didn't get at the church or we didn't get in sports and athletics. So it just made for a well-rounded youth childhood. So that's why for me with my son, we play. He's in soccer, basketball, and all those, and he does the stuff at the church. But I really wanted to make sure if he wanted to, he had an opportunity to really go camping and do some of those activities as well. And so far, he's taken a liking to it. And my daughter, she's a Girl Scout too. So just to give him
Absolutely.
something. More,
No, that's cool, man. I mean, like I said, I never really thought about, their actually, careers and, just, kudos to your dad for, sticking out for doing something that he enjoys doing, or enjoyed doing. You mentioned that he's retired. So, that's great. And, you got a well-rounded view, by him being affiliated with the Boy Scouts. So, and then that even transcends now to your son and you being involved with the Boy Scouts. So that's super dope.
yeah, absolutely. No, and I think for me, one thing about being a father, man, is like for my kids, I really just want to expose them to a lot of different types of things and then see where their interests lie.
Yeah,
And so, we throw them in all these different sports activities. And then, like I said, they have their church groups and things of that sort. But then Cub Scouts and camping and all of that, it's been amazing. And I feel like I think they enjoy it so far. So
absolutely.
as long as they enjoy it and getting something out of it, I'm like, all right, I'll support you.
Yeah. Hey man, Q, we have one of our mutual friends who, I call her Miss Girl Scout.
Yeah,
Miss
oh,
Girl
yeah.
Scout forever. Miss Cicely Brooks is on is watching, and she just says, "Hey guys, great to see two of my faves. This is awesome. Shouting out to the West Side, all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina, and shout out to the Scouts worldwide." So, we appreciate you, Cicely Brooks, for watching.
Listen, she's awesome, and she did a phenomenal job with the her Girl Scout troop,
Man,
and
no,
really
she's
set it for
it,
my wife and also for me in terms of just how to like work with youth and really just have impact. So shout out to her for sure.
absolutely. Cicely is a real one. You talking about Girl Scouts? She's had a major influence on a lot of young ladies, and she's probably still kind of affiliated with Girl Scouts. I'm sure in some kind of way. Matter of fact, Cicely, during Girl Scout cookie time, you send me some cookies. I know she still got some dibs on the cookies, man. But no, we appreciate you, Cicely, for hopping on and supporting the show. So let's go ahead and transition, man. Let's kind of talk about you're a brand creator. I really
Yeah,
want to talk about your entrepreneurial spirit. You being an author, and then we'll probably finish up the conversation and wrap it up with a bow with you being an awesome husband, because you mentioned both of your kids and all that kind of good stuff, and how you balance all this stuff, right? So let's go ahead and hop into to being a brand creator, man. And I think you said that's what came first, right? The clothing line.
yeah.
So
And
what was your inspiration for developing a clothing line? And I think you're wearing one of your hoodies right now.
yeah, honestly, and even to take you even further back, man, I think as a kid, I've always kind of like grew up and I was just creating types of things, whether or not it was writing or whether or not it was like, man, I want to have a paper route or whatever. So I think even at an early age, it was one of those things where I like creating, I like business, and I had desire to do that. And even through college time, taking marketing classes, putting together business plans, some of those things didn't really take off at that time, but you just learn skills and things of that sort. So I think for me, it just was a seed early on. It was like I always want to just keep creating and brainstorming things and try things, and
Right.
and experience things. I'm like, you just got one life to live, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna try multiple different things. And so yeah, so back in 2003, I actually came up with a clothing line called Atwear. It ain't where you from, it's where you at. And so a lot of my friends, it was from the line Rakim from one of his songs and whatnot. So Atwear, it was just all about inspirational and things of that. And so that was my first apparel line back in 2003 that I launched, and many of my friends probably knew me from that. That actually started in college at Michigan. I had did that as like a business plan coming out of college, and so I did that for like 5 years. I had an investor. I got it in. I think I had like 10 different stores that I had it in, like boutique stores and things of that sort. And it was a grind. I mean, it was a grind. Getting stuff made, taking it to the store, and then doing trade shows in Vegas and stuff like that, and trying to do the promotion. But I did that for like 5 years, and it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. So I did that was like one of my first efforts into entrepreneurship. And then after that, I started children's books. And not and specifically, I want to call out multicultural children's books
Hmm.
because I'd always been a writer as a kid, and so I always had so when I stopped at that other line, I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just dive into um, writing. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the multicultural children's book is it goes back to what I was talking to you earlier about. Remember, I was saying how I moved out from Michigan to California 3 days before school start, and I had this like culture shock, like, whoa, like I ain't never seen nothing like this before. This ain't, this ain't like what we got in Michigan,
Right.
you know. I mean, really, I was telling them, yo, I'm moving out here to California. I live at that time I was living out right outside of Long Beach, and this is when Snoop was hot and Warren G and all of that and everything '94. And so my friends in Michigan was like, yo, you going out there with all the stars and stuff, and I'm like, but I get out here and I'm just like, this is a different world. And like I said, I didn't like it at first, but really, honestly, tell you the truth, I learned to adapt and move, and
Hmm.
I turned out to love it. Love it. I love the diversity. I love the things to do out here. I love the people. And so when I first decided to write my first story, and I came up with a multicultural children book chapter book series called Real Street Kids. And so these books right here, they're chapter books, and so it's called Real Street Kids. And as you see, it's like four multicultural children's on the cover, because really it was kind of loosely based on me. It was like, what happens when you have a boy that comes from one place in Michigan and finds his way out to California, being so crazy diverse, and what does that look like to navigate that space as a kid and all the emotions that come with that and all of that. But yeah, so that was kind of like the whole genesis behind the stories. And I think for me, I was the perfect person to tell those stories because really it was me kind of. Now all the stories are fictitious, but it really still there was a lot of unique stories with the children being different cultures, different family structures, different problems. And then you put them in situations and you like, hey, how do we navigate this?
Right.
So you'll see the first book is Chasing Action. That's all about how the kids kind of came together, and formed their friendship, and saved a little neighborhood center. So I called it Chasing Action. And then the second book is called Art of Authenticity. We add two new characters into the mix. And so instead of you'll see there, it's like five on the first cover. Now you got seven. You got two more girls in the mix. And so the Art of Authenticity was all about now y'all friends. Now y'all done overcome something. Um, in the second book, they learn how to stay true to themselves and not copy other people.
Gotcha.
And so I think that's so important for kids at that particular age, because a lot of times it's like what you see on TV or what's on the videos, and it's like, yo, like you got to navigate this life, but you got to stay true to yourself. And so that's where I kind of came up with the whole art of authenticity. It was like how to tell a good story, but then also tell kids like, yo, be yourself. Like that's your superpower. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You got
Yeah. Yeah.
to people.
Yeah. No, and then some of those themes or titles even kind of work as an adult as well. So it's like
Yeah.
a precursor to, to, if you will, real life, right? Where kids, are definitely, going to figure out how to, be authentic with themselves, understand who they are, and
Yeah.
as they navigate the world, they're gonna, figure out who the real ones are, right? To borrow a phrase, a current phrase, they're gonna understand who the real ones are, and then they're gonna understand who the fake folks are. But with all of that, they got to understand who they are. And so,
Yep.
it looks like your titles are, setting a foundation for when they become, preteens, adolescents, moving into,
Yeah.
later on up into high school and college. So, no, I think those are wonderful titles and wonderful storylines that kids can get into even now.
Absolutely. And those are seeds that as a parent, man, you successfully like stewarded your kids and almost to adulthood here. And it's like getting those seeds into them early,
Hmm.
but doing it in ways that you can kind of like, it's not always like preachy, preachy, preachy. It's like finding ways to kind of come alongside them and give them that direction and plant that seed so they can also, it can kind of blossom and they can kind of get that seed that you're trying to deposit. But, so I just do it through stories, and that's kind of what I was able to do with the seed. So,
Cool, cool. Tell us just a little bit more about Good Ideas, and I see you have Johnny Skip 2 and Johnny Skip 1, and the
yeah.
Sport King. So just kind of tell, since we're already here talking about talking about you being an author, go ahead and talk about those other titles as well.
Absolutely. So the first two in the Real Street Kids series, Chasing Action and Art of Authenticity, happened in the summer months, right? So Good Ideas is all about going back to school. So these kids are back to school and school election time, and one of the kids decides to run for uh, class president. And in order to become class president, it's not a popularity contest. It's all about who has the best ideas.
Hmm.
And so, what I wanted to do with this one is I really wanted kids to feel empowered even at an early age, because a lot of times I think adults sometimes we kind of suppress the kids from like coming up with ideas. And I'm like, even at an early age, my kids 6 and 8, I'm like, yo, what you think? As we working on different, other stuff that we into like real estate or other stuff like that. It's like asking them what you think about certain things. It's like giving them a power to kind of start to think at an early age and come up with good ideas and not be like, nah, that's terrible. That's
Yeah.
terrible. Like it can be, all it has to do is it's like you want to foster curiosity. You want to foster them thinking. You want to foster them to kind of have ideas. And so it's like, I'm like, yo, even at an early age, like, what are your good ideas? You take a look around. What can you do to improve your situation or around you, your community and things of that sort. So that's what that whole book is about, is like empowering kids at an early age to just think and come out with good ideas. Like you be the change you want to see in the world, and you could probably make a difference and collaborate with some people and do some dope stuff. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
with good ideas. And so that closes out the Real Street Kids chapter book series. And I always like to talk before I go to the picture books is the chapter books are longer form content for older kids like preteens, right? And so I actually wrote those prior to getting married and having kids when I had a lot more time. And so those are longer for more older kids. And so as I got married, as I started to have kids, I had less and less time, but I still wanted to be creative. And so I was like, okay, well, let me try my hand at picture books, because picture books is just 32 pages,
Sure.
and it's a less text and you just got to deal with the illustration. So that's when I pivoted over to these picture book series. And so Sporty Lou, it's all about a little boy and his dad learning how to play sports for the first time. And it was like what I want to do with my kids or what I did with my dad. It was like, you know, you get introduced to a sport. The first one is soccer. The second one is basketball. And the third one, which I haven't released yet, is baseball. But it's all about this little boy, Sporty Lou, having a big imagination of what he thinks he can do
Mm-hmm.
versus what actually happens. And so it's all about perseverance and trying and trying again, and then the experience of just doing it with you're doing it with your father, and then you learning together, and next thing you know, you fall in love with a particular sport. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to do it as a celebration for parents and their kids, introducing them to that love of sports at an early age. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
something I love to do with my kids. So
Yeah. No, that's what's
that's
up.
yeah. And then Johnny Skip 2, that one is I really so for this one, it's Johnny Skip 2. It's all about a little boy, Johnny, and his little dog Grounder, and he has a skip to device, and he can skip anywhere around the world for an adventure. So this first adventure, I take him to Australia, in which he has to help a little kangaroo find her little Joe. And
Okay.
so for this, what I wanted to do is with this series is I wanted the little kids to think beyond the United States. I wanted them to think globally, right? And so a lot of times, and remember I taught you about moving a lot as a kid, and a lot of places I lived and came up with, it was like, yo, when I was in Ohio, it was like, man, some people just like, man, it's all about Ohio. And
Right.
I'm in Michigan, like, yo, it's all about Michigan. And then now sometimes in the West, it's like, yo, it's all about the West. But I'm like, yo, it's a big world out here, man. It's like, don't you want to know what's happening over, on the other side somewhere, or
Sure.
even globally, right? And so what I wanted to do is at an early age, pick all these different places. Like the first place I take them to is Australia. Who knows? I haven't written the second one yet, but likely it'll be like Africa somewhere. And then just continue the series. But it's really all about exploration and getting kids to think beyond just their small area, but to really for them to really be able to kind of think through and look on a map and be like, yo, life is limitless to me. I can skip anywhere around the world.
Absolutely. No, that's those are some pretty dope themes. And what I like about the children's series, the picture book series, is you're bringing in your personal childhood experiences, and you're putting them in the form of a picture books. And so in a way, you're kind of using your real life, and you're trying to make it relatable to kids or families who might be going through some of those similar situations as you did when you were a kid. Was that your intent?
Oh, absolutely. No, for sure. I think all of these stories to a certain degree are personal to me. I mean, it's all fictitious, but it starts from a personal. So like I said, as if it was the Real Street Kids, it's kind of like how do you navigate a new space and meet a new kid? Because honestly, to tell you the truth, I went to a lot of schools across coming up, so I know what that journey's like. Or sports. I love sports. I played a lot of sports coming up. What's that joy that comes with learning a new sport for the first time? And I love to travel. So what is it like to just like look at life as limitless and all the different places you can kind of go? And so a lot of it is kind of born out of kind of my experience and things, and I like to just
No,
kind
that's
of part of
that's pretty cool, man. And then what I did, Q, is instead of waiting to waiting till the end of the show, I put up your Amazon page where you have some of your offerings. And so,
yeah,
those of you who are interested in getting some of these books, especially, as we move and make our way into the holiday time, this is a
yeah,
wonderful way to support, an author. And especially if those of you who celebrate Kwanzaa, these could be wonderful multicultural gifts.
yeah.
I believe the word for gift in Swahili is zawadi. I believe it is. I'm testing myself, but yeah. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and I see you have some videos on here. So go
Yeah.
to
Hey,
Amazon and you
can
can
I
look
add one?
up Quentin Hugh. Go ahead, Q.
Hey, so, yeah, and so in addition to the chapter books and the picture books, I also have coloring books on there and ebooks as well. But one thing I really want to kind of call out for to the people that are kind of watching here and for your audience is even beyond me. One of the big themes you'll see I'm doing is multicultural children's book content, right? Because a lot of people, when I first started doing it, it was like, oh man, to see little brown kids, or to see different, it was, you go to Barnes and Nobles or Borders back in the day, and it's like, yo, I can't find multicultural kids content. I don't see myself on the books and the covers. You go to, you're at your school. My wife's in education. I know your wife's been in education for years, and it's like you think of those scholastic books, and you're like, yo, why am I not seeing books like, like why am I still see no kid that looks like him
Right.
or her on the covers? So one of the things I do want to say is, parents, be intentional about exposing your kids to multicultural authors, multicultural characters,
Yeah.
because whether or not you see it at your local bookstore, there are countless multicultural authors around here, and it's like, just really find them. I think your kids, like exposing your kids to that early, can really, really, it's empowering to kids to see that, So
Yeah. No, that's wonderful, man. I mean, and just you have a plethora of titles over there, in different interest levels. You have chapter books, you have picture books, and so shout out to to you being an author. Now, how did you collaborate with the illustrator? Because I know you're not an illustrator, man, unless
yeah,
unless
yeah.
you have a unknown talent unbeknownst to me, man. So how did you collaborate with your illustrator to make these things happen?
Yeah, I think in today's era, you can find people online, and so I found I've worked with multiple illustrators online, and so I always tell people, because a lot of people are like, man, I want to do a picture book or whatnot, and so I always say, you want to find somebody that matches your vision, right? Because it really, if you think about a picture book specifically, it has to, like, you. There's a style and approach, and not everybody has that style and approach that you may like. And so I think, going online, looking through different portfolios, finding somebody that's kind of already in that wheelhouse of what your vision is. I always tell people, find that person. Don't try to find somebody that's doing like a Marvel look and feel, and you over here want this, like, water paint look or something like that. And
Right.
so you want something that's kind of in your wheelhouse, that's close to your vision, and so it'll make that relationship, because it really, that the a picture book is so dependent on those characters and those visuals. So you really want to find somebody that has that pops, that's close to your vision, and they can and bring the words to life through the pictures and the storytelling. So
Absolutely. No,
yeah,
that's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. Awesome,
yeah,
awesome, awesome. And then, so let's go ahead and continue the conversation with the clothing line, man, because you started with one clothing
yeah,
line, right?
yeah.
And then you kind of, went in another direction. So let's kind of talk me through how you developed the second clothing line, DJ and MC, or
MC.
MC and DJ.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what's funny is, I mean, while it's a clothing line, I really look at it more of like just another creative moment. It's a creative expression, right?
Absolutely.
And if you think about it, so we were sitting at home. I mean, obviously the pandemic happened. The world is shut down, and so in that, if you remember back, you had all of those, like, versus battles. You had all of the artists going live and things of that sort. And it was such a, like, a special moment for music that was happening, right? And so, and it was a joy in all of that came out of verses and everything like that, or club quarantine, and with Be Nice, and that. And so I got to thinking, and I was like, and it's funny is, I've had this MC and DJ concept, and this is the funny thing about it is, I always tell people, I'm like, I have like a running, like section of my computer where it's just like I got like a bunch of ideas, like 30 different ideas, and you just don't know what you're gonna do with them. But it was a moment during the pandemic where I was like, man, I have this MC and DJ concept where I was like, man, it's like a celebration of music uh, artists and their creativity and all of that. And I was like, yo. And so I went and got that MC and DJ concept. And I was connected with some friends of mine. One of my homeboys that I went to college with, he does clothes. He has a line out of Vegas called Layup. Shout out to Dre T and the whole layout crew out there in Vegas. But I partnered with him, so he did all the design work for it. So I had the vision, and then he had the infrastructure and the design talent and the manufacturer and the setup to just bring it to life. But really, it's a celebration of the artists and the DJs that bring us so much joy. And also thinking about, like so coming out of COVID and that was the genesis. But if you see the first two collections, it was voice. Voice is all about owning your own voice. If you think about like what we went through with the whole George Floyd situation, and you see the protests, and it was like, yo, have a voice, own your voice, speak up. Like if you see some stuff and it's not, I mean, and that's what hip hop and hip hop culture is all about, It's these creative, great creative talents being able to express themselves in different art forms, but it really extends even beyond just because all of us grew up on hip hop in a certain way, and
Yeah,
so we come from this generation, and it's been, and say what you want about the different artists, but a lot of it, depends. It really celebrates that, own your own voice, own your power, speak up, and really that was something I really wanted to celebrate in the voice collection, and then on the sound collection, just that joy that music brings to people. People been cooped up, and they was just and music just like, yo, that sound is special, man. It's special to do something for you. You know what I'm saying? Like when you just need a little pick me up, hey, throw on that song that creates that environment. And so, that's what the sound was about. And then the third collection I dropped was 80s mixtape. So, you think back in the day where people would have their mixtapes. That's been one of my hottest right now. You see some of the colorways that's sold out there on the site,
right.
but you think about like a lot of those mixtapes that we had back in the day, and it was like it just that nostalgia to that 80s and what that joy you had in there, fostered. So yeah, so it's just like, I just been creating stuff, man, and just sharing it with folks, and just who rock with it, cool. It's not for everybody. It's very much people who love hip hop culture or love the messages of the voice, celebrate the sound, or just that nostalgia of that 80s mixtape. So yeah, so that's what I make it for.
Absolutely, man. No, let me see. Let me see if I can find my mouse again. There it is. No, man, this is pretty dope, man. I love the hoodie, and of course, you're rocking the hoodie right there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that,
they're comfortable T-shirts and hoodies and whatnot. So here's the voice collection right here. Just you get it in a hoodie. Looks like women's and just a regular, crew neck. And so
yeah,
you got the prices right there. So yeah. So if you want to patronize, just go to mcanddj.com and you can go have one of your very own t-shirts or hoodies. You got the voice collection, which we're showing right now. We have the sound collection right here.
yeah.
And, you know, what are there any other collections that you see or collections that you see that you're going to, come out with in the future?
You know what? I haven't really decided what 2023 is going to look like for MC and DJ at this moment. I've really been kind of just introducing new colorways and new concepts with the three collections so far. So I would just tell folks just stay tuned. And then, as I kind of develop out new colorways, I'll probably just be introducing that. And then, like I said, there's new concepts. I've designed a lot of stuff. I just haven't prioritized which what'll be the next new launch. Probably likely spring of next year. So
Okay, that's what's up, man. And I was actually doing some
but
stuff over here. So, I mean, I love the line. I love it so much that I had to go ahead and, I just ordered me a T-shirt. So, here I am. Let me
appreciate,
see.
appreciate
Here I am, sport my support my sound shirt. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yes.
no,
And also just entrepreneurs out there, man. I just, like I said, I know I'm here kind of, sharing about like my journey, but
yeah,
just shout out to everybody else too, man. Like I said, I know the last couple of years been really, really crazy, man, and the world's been turned upside down. But one of the beautiful things is, man, is I've seen a lot of people that have this desire to create, man.
yeah,
And I just want to encourage folks, man, if you got a vision for something, man, we're living in an era, man, where I don't care what you want to do right now. You can go on YouTube, you can collect information. There's technology available. There's drop shipping. There's a whole lot of different types of things in order to make your vision happen. So, just shout out to everybody that's got like something in them, an idea, a seed, or something, man. Just press in, look a little further, look on YouTube, and learn a little bit more about it. Go, check out podcasts. There's so
yeah,
much information for whatever you want to do that, just to encourage folks, what I'm saying, to just, put it out there, man. And I don't care if you sell 100 or 100,000 or a million or whatever. Like, yo, you find your niche, you find your community, and you bless them with your creativity and your gift. So,
absolutely, man. No, I love, and I think when we talked during when we were in Cancun together, right, for Cicely's wedding a couple of months ago, I was like, hey, I think I hit you up after the when we got back. I was like, man,
yeah,
give me the info for those for the DJ and MC or MC and DJ. And
yeah,
I ordered this one and I ordered the voice one. So, and I rock them
yeah,
from time to time on my live. So, just giving you a shout out. And like you said, shout out to all the creators out there, right? Who are out there
absolutely.
busy, creating. And so, a lot of people think of content creators as just people online creating videos, but no, doing what you're doing with the t-shirts,
Mhm.
MC and DJ, that's creating content because you're also not only creating something that's wearable content, but
Mhm.
it's going to give way to to conversation, to nostalgia. The mixed '80s tapes; those were super dope, right? And not too many people have have the cassette tapes, but I still got a couple around. If I look over here in the garage, I got a couple. Look in the
Yeah.
studio, I got a couple. But yeah, I mean,
Great.
just
Yes,
ways to
it's too.
create the conversation, man. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I did want to shout out real quick. Shanari said that she loved, the concepts that we're talking about right now, especially as it relates to your MC and DJ biz. And then shout out to my friend Chocolate Twist Yoga. Who will be a guest later on in the season. So thank you, Chocolate Twist Yoga, for tapping in. And then Facebook user over there on Facebook, of course, and I think that's Irwin. Irwin says that '80s mixtape is dope. I need it in a big boy size. So, hey, if you can go to the site and see if they have it in the big boy size, Irwin, and if not, I'm sure Mr. Q can take care of you. Um,
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, this is pretty dope, man. And I just love if we go back to the homepage here. I love some of the images, man. Kind of talk about the images that were created to put on the website to advertise MC and DJ.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So I had a friend of mine. He was actually a like an engineer for music. Raj Will, and so he had a he has a whole he does music, he does production. He had a whole space, that's him right there, in Hollywood. It's like a building where he would he makes music. He does the whole A&R for artists, and he also does photography and stuff. And so I really wanted to support him and his business and his whole space. And so we shot the photography. We shot the those photos there right in the studio. And so those are real artists and real engineer, producer, um, and yeah. So I really wanted to use real people that are out there making a difference out here. So yeah, so you'll see some different models there. So
Absolutely. And then if you go over to the website, mcanddj.com, you have a
yeah,
couple of links that you can click on. You can click on and read a little bit more about the brand story, about why it was created. You have the voice collection, the sound collection. We also previewed the mixtape collection, but then you can talk
Yep.
about the founder, and Q is the founder, so a little bit more about him. And he has I love that prolific picture right here with Nipsey, and then you also have a blog as well. So um, now there you go. So yeah, so awesome, awesome opportunity to support someone who's an artist who's out there creating content and giving us something to talk about. So I love my MC and DJ T-shirts, and just when I found out about these particular offerings that you had, Q, I was like, hey, sign me up. Go ahead and let me get a couple of them. So and they're nice and soft, and you can rock them anywhere.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you, man. And like I said, thank you for having me on here and loving what you're doing too, man. This is dope. This is a dope show.
Man, just trying to do something. So we're right at an hour, man, and so maybe we can kind of wrap it up and put a nice little bow on it, and kind of talk about just how do you balance everything.
Yeah,
How do you balance everything, man? You're a husband. You're a father of two wonderful kids. You have
yeah,
your own interests. Being an author, being a content
yeah.
creator, being an entrepreneur, man. How do you balance everything, and with all your different interests?
Yeah, no, I think you know what? I always like to tell folks, I'm like, everybody has different superpowers, and for me, I am like, I'm good at multitasking. I'm good at like prioritization, and so for me, I it works for me to be able to work on different things.
Hmm.
Um, I'm driven like that to kind of do those type of things. And also too, I think if you're passionate about it, that's another thing too. You know, I mean, if you don't love it, then you're not gonna want to fit it into your schedule. So I think number one is that passion. You gotta love what you want to do. Like if you got an idea, you got a concept, you got something, if you love it, you're gonna want to do it, and there's nothing that stop you from getting it done. And so a lot of these things, it's like, but then it goes back to also your superpowers. It's understanding what you're good at and what you're not good at. So for me, those things that I'm good at, organization, marketing, creativity. I lean into those things, knock those things out. The things I'm not good at, I need to employ different people to support me because they can kind of fill in the gaps on those type of things like that in order to kind of keep things moving. So I think that's another thing is being honest and understanding your skill set as well, so that you can kind of activate your superpower and then bring in resources and people on your team as needed in order to fill in the gaps for the things that maybe you're not as strong with. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of how I get it done for the most part.
Absolutely. And then it
And that's
also
the journey too.
no
I
no
think
I,
every year is different.
yeah.
So yeah,
And then also, I mean, not only are you, talking about, family, not only are
yeah,
you an author, but your wife is also an author.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, she's got her picture book series. And one thing that was kind of dope about that is I had already been through the whole process. And so she had a dope story. And so it was almost like, all right, take your story and then let me show you the formula. And so I think for her, it was like it made it like pretty seamless because it wasn't like she was starting from scratch. It was like, so that's another thing too, is like also tapping in with people that have already been where you trying to go, that
Sure.
knows kind of like the framework.
Yeah.
Because really, it's like you take your dope idea, you take your dope concept, you take whatever, and then it can show you kind of the structure or something, and then you run it through that system, and then you able to kind of accelerate as opposed to like starting from scratch with like I don't even know where to start.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so it's worked out great for her, and she's got like four books in on her series that she's been able to kind of knock out, and they're all awesome. So really cool.
Absolutely.
So
So if you had to give some advice to someone, let's just talk about you being an author, okay?
Yeah,
If you had to give some advice, if one of my viewers was thinking about becoming an author, illustrator, some kind of content creator, but let's really hone in on concentrating, focusing on being an author. What
yeah.
are three tools? What are three tools that you could suggest that would make someone that will make the process just a little bit easier? Since you've already gone through the
Yeah.
process, you have a blueprint. What are three things that an upcoming budding author could do um, to help them
Yeah.
in the process of writing their first book?
I think the first thing you want to do is, and I always like to say this, and this may sound really simplistic, but you got to actually complete it. Like, if nothing else, like until you actually complete it, it's hard to have any other discussions because you're still in development phase, right? And so, and once you complete it, now you can have somebody read it, edit it, make adjustments, and whatever you need to do to fine tune it. But I think the biggest thing, no matter what you do, is like starting at like having like a fully fleshed out story that you've written. Don't got to be perfect. It don't have to be the end product or nothing like that. But like so many times, like I talk to people and it's like, I want to do that, but I'm like, and then I'm like, cool. So then you go through all the details and everything. And it's like, all right, holler at me when you're done. And then we take it from there. And it's like, okay, if we never get to the done part, then we can't even move on to anything else. Right.
Right.
So I think the first thing is like build a habit of actually creating something and finishing it. And then from there, if you like knocked it out, I don't care if it took you 6 months to 3 years or whatever. Once you done, now there's so many more things that are possible because now we have a finished product or we have a product that we can go get edited. We can get some feedback on, and so you can touch up any final edits or whatever you need to do. We can go get a cover. We can do whatever you want to self-publish it. You want to look for like a publisher. I mean, we can navigate a lot of that, but at the end of the day, like please just start with like you got to finish the project. You got to push yourself to the point where you can actually complete a task. I don't care if it's writing a book, if it's making a shirt concept, if it's starting a bit like whatever. It's like we got to build a habit of just completing something so that we can start that next process. So that's first. The second part is kind of finish, like pick your path that you want to go. Like you can go to publisher route and get an agent, and that's a journey. Or if you want to go self-publishing, which is totally fine. That's what I do. You got to just pick that path, right? And each path is unique into itself. So I go to self-publisher route, and so I done been to like LA Times Festival of Books. I done been to New York. I done been to Chicago. I done been to book fairs. I've done interviews. I've done all those different type of interviews, stuff like this or whatever. So as a self-published author, you got to hustle up, and you got to. So I think that's pick your path, complete it, pick your path, and then once you pick your path, then at that point, if let's say you pick self-publish, now you just got to go hustle, hustle, hustle. Because at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about self-publishing is you get more to profit, right? Than sharing it with a big publisher. But at the with the on the other side of it, you also got to front all the money to get it set up and the illustrations and covers and all that stuff like that. And you got to do all your own promotion. So you can't be shy. You can't be at a book fair just sitting down. You got to talk to everybody. Know it's a numbers game. Have interviews. Put it out there on social media. You got to hustle. I mean, nobody. I mean, if they don't know what's out there, how they gonna buy it? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I was complete it, complete, because then people can always refine from there. Number two, pick your path. Like either you want to go publishing route and then you go to agent or whatever, do that route, or self-publishing. Pick your path, and then the last thing is, like I said, is just if you go to self-publishing route like I did, you gotta start with marketing and book fairs and talk to everybody. It's a numbers game, so you may be at a book fair. I've been at LA Times Festival with 100,000 people, and literally you just be on your feet the whole time. You just pitching and pitching and pitching and pitching and pitching it. And probably every 5 people will buy. But you got to go through a bunch of people, and of those 5 people, that one that bought it there, but then you still didn't gave out your card, and they other people might buy it like a week later or a couple months later. It's on their consideration set. That now that they know about you. So it's not like you lost because the people didn't buy or you gave them a card or something. They know you for the future. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. No, you have to know how to, how to talk a good game, and back it up, right? So you've gone through the process of creating a book. You fronted the money. You've invested time, sweat, and tears into your projects, and so to your point. If it's a book, if it's a clothing line, if it's a website, whatever the case might be, some kind of business, you got to be all in, and you can't be timid about it. So you have to know the in and outs, and so it looks like you have a pretty decent handle of how to illustrate, not necessarily how to illustrate, how to write a book, and looks like you could offer some assistance to those who are on the fence about writing the book, and especially if they're creative and they know how to write. So just that information alone right there, Q, is hopefully it's going to benefit somebody.
you know,
And go ahead.
can I throw this other thing too? Is I always like to tell people, and this is actually number 4. I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave it at this: is things don't always have to be exactly like you thought it was gonna be,
Mm.
right? Like you may have a concept. Like I tell people when they come to me and I'm like, "Yo, like, what's your book idea? What do you want to do?" And I'm like, the first thing I always say is, "You sure that's a book, right?" Like nowadays, you got people that got podcasts, you got people that got YouTube series. I mean, once you have a concept, that concept can be fleshed out 1,000 different ways. So I think that's another pivotal point in the process is once you got a concept, you have to figure out is what's the best way to get your story or your messages out, right? So I did the book route, but you talking about Real Street Kids, like I've had that book out there since what was it like for a long time. So it doesn't always have to be I'm doing this as a book. It could be a podcast. It could be a YouTube series. It could be an audio book. It Heck, it could turn into a movie. I mean, really, at the end of the day, a great story is a great story. You need to figure out how you're gonna get it to the world.
Absolutely, man. No, seem like you got some content creation in mind for yourself. In order to create and make your brand a little bit larger with these titles that you have.
Yeah. I mean, let's go back to like MC and DJ. I told you I had that concept like 8 years ago,
Sure.
right? Just I wrote it down, boom, 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 and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna do it like this, and I set it down. I'm gonna do it like this, and I set it down. I thought it was gonna be 2 or 3 other different things, right? It could have been a book series, it could have been a TV show, it could have been whatever. And MC and DJ ended up being like what it was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I always like to say, like, once you have a concept, just be open because the world changes. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about podcasts right now. Nobody used to think about podcasts like this years ago, but now they booming, right? And so it's just another medium to connect your storytelling, your vision, your whatever to the world. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
just
all it
that's
is.
another thing. You gotta be flexible, man, and then also go back to what I was saying earlier about your superpower. Like, be honest with you, like some people really dope on camera or an audio, and it's like, yo, use that superpower with your storytelling because that vehicle could be powerful, and it could be more powerful than maybe even the book, right?
Right. Right.
So just don't pigeonhole yourself like it has to be like this. I've always
Yes.
thought it was gonna be this. Like, yo, if the world didn't change, be open to different ways to kind of execute your vision.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you have to, but I always like to tell people before you dive in and lock in, is this the best vehicle to tell your story?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? In the teacher world, we call that flexibility. You have to be flexible. because things
Yes, sir.
happen, right? I mean, especially during, if I take a look at a school day, we might have a fire drill, or it might not be a fire drill. It might be the real deal. And so, if I'm teaching a lesson and I hear the fire, the bell's going off, then I got to stop what I'm doing, get my class on out to the yard, get them to a safe spot. And so, same thing, you're thinking, something's going to be delivered one way, when all of a sudden something might happen to cause you to think about doing it another way, and it might be a little bit more successful than the way that you thought it was going to be originally. So, we call that being flexible in education, and so it has real world implications as well. You have to be flexible when you operating, owning your business, when you're doing things, creating content, all that kind of good stuff. Real quick, man, I just want to shout out to my friend Kevin Cox up there. He's on the West Coast as well, but he's up north. So, I'm gonna still show you some love, Kevin. Thanks for hopping in. Thanks for tuning in and being part of the discussion, man. We're just actually kind of finishing up talking to Quentin Q Holmes, who is an author, who's a brand creator, entrepreneur, lover of the Michigan Wolverines. And we
Blue.
kind of yeah, go Big Blue. We kind of didn't talk about that as well, man. So
Yeah.
as we finish up, man, I mean, we've had a wonderful conversation talking about content creations, knowing the path that you need to take in order to create whatever it is you need to create. In this case, it was being an author, and you kind of shared some of your ways of how people can become authors. You talked about being in the shadow of your dad, who was a long time Boy Scouts of America employee and influencer. We would call that an influencer now, right?
Yep.
And then you've also talked about how you juggle being a dad, being a husband, being an author, being a content creator, entrepreneur. You've kind of talked about that. So let's just finish up the conversation with your affinity for Michigan. And
Yes.
we really didn't even talk about just your educational background. I know you have a degree in mass. Okay. I know you have a degree in mass communications from Michigan, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So, not to bring up any bad blood, but Kevin says that's too bad. Ohio State
Uh,
Buckeye alum here.
Hey,
So
it's all good. It's all
yeah.
good. It's all.
So
You
I'm sure
Big Ten. Big Ten.
it's all
Big,
good. I know you guys
exactly.
can really carve some time and get into it back and forth. But check this out, man. Just tell us what it's like on a typical Michigan football day, man. Just what is that
Hmm.
whole tailgating, going to the game experience like, and then we'll wrap up our conversation.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, I always like to tell people. So I went to Michigan. Especially, I know we're back on top now. We're doing good, but there was some dark years. So when I went to school there, it was 1997. And Charles Woodson, obviously, that's the year he won the Heisman. And then we shared the national championship with Nebraska. And so, I mean, honestly, that whole year of school was just amazing. And so it was, I mean, you I always like to tell people, it's like if you've never been to like a school like a Michigan or a college town, it is an experience to be had, because truly, if you don't like football, you might as well go run your errands, because that's the time when you can get things done, either at the game or watching a game on TV. And so at that time, I mean, everybody, you from the morning, you all hype, you walk up to the game. There's fraternity houses along the way. People so excited, they tailgating, they getting excited for the game. I went to all those home games. We won, like I said, we went undefeated that year, and Charles Woodson won the Heisman. And actually, I went to the Rose Bowl. That's when we beat Ryan Leaf. I don't know if you remember him, in Washington State. We beat them in the Rose Bowl for the to be the national champions, co-national champions with Nebraska. And so, I mean, my wife, she was like, so even to the day, like I try to make most of the games I can watch. If not, I record them and then watch them later. But she was like, I don't know what. She didn't go to like a school like that. She went to Vanguard, a Christian school with no sports or nothing like that. But it was until I took her out there and had her experience the game, she was like, "Now I get it. Now I get it." Now, and so all my friends, many of us are the same way. I mean, we bleed blue, and it's just like it's love. Social media. When we're losing, it's like the end of the world, and then when we on top, it's like you want you in a cloud. So,
Yeah. No, Kevin's talking about, just how the stadiums are crowded, with 100,000 people on the outside and 150,000 people on the outside tailgating. And he says it's nothing like Big Ten football. And you know what? I get it. Because when I travel around and, because my boys are involved in football, it's crazy because you get to see so many different ways of how people celebrate, how they tailgate, right? And so, it's crazy, from the big tailgates to the small tailgates. People are all in on football, and that's kind of what we do over here, in the Riley world. When it's Saturday, I'm trying to plan my day based on who's playing at what particular time, right? So I know if I get up, I'm making breakfast. Okay, as I'm making breakfast, I might watch this game, or later on in the evening, you might have the late night game. So football kind of runs a lot of stuff over here, especially on Fridays and Saturdays. So I have to get to one of those big games to really see, because out here in LA, we have people do tailgates pretty decently, but when you go back there and they're tailgating like from 6 a.m. and it's like full on TVs. And actually, I saw it a couple of weeks ago when we went to LSU. Those folks, they camp out. It's busy. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's those. I'm telling you, man. That's those towns, man. It's just like everything revolves around football. I know in Michigan, like I said, is outside of that, it's not really that. I mean, Ann Arbor, it's not much to do. So really, it's not like out here in California where you got thousands of things going on.
That's it.
It's like out there, the town shuts down for that, and so. But yeah, no, I loved everything about Michigan, man. I really loved it. I mean, the friends that I made there, man, it's just lifelong friends, man. And I wouldn't trade anything for that experience, man. It's like I could go all around the world. It's like Michigan people, and it's too funny. Let me tell you this story. So we was like, this is like I think we early on in my marriage, and we was like, I had a Michigan hat on. We was like in Brazil, and then somebody was like, "Go blue," and my wife she just rolled her eyes. She was like, "Y'all all over the place." I was like, "Yo." I was like, it is the alumni network and also just fan base, people that grew up loving, Michigan football. You think about the Fab Five. It was just, it was special for a lot of people. So I'm glad I had that experience. I'm glad I met a lot of those, have those friendships that many of them to this day I still,
Yeah.
I haven't seen them, but I see them somewhere through work or whatever, and it's like we ain't even skipped a beat. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here's the thing for me, man. Even though, my son went to Washington State for a little bit, and, their thing is, go Cougs, right? And so, it's crazy because, we'll walk around somewhere. We were at a game earlier this season. It wasn't a Washington State game. It was Idaho State and UNLV. And I saw someone walk around with, they had a Wazoo shirt on. So, of course, fan bases know when you say go Cougs, right? Like you said, go Big Blue. It's like, oh, okay, go Cougs. And so, sure enough, I said, hey, go Cougs. And he responded, we can be in the airport and so, you can be a fan and love everything about, your particular squad represent. And so, that's a wonderful thing, And then to your point, when you're looking at the Midwest or college towns, real college towns, like Washington State is a real college town, right? I mean, they have a small little regional airport, but the nearest airport is about an hour and a half away in Spokane. And so, I mean, you got to drive through what they call the Palouse, right? They call it the Palouse, wheat fields. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. And that's all they have. They got Washington State football, basketball, baseball. That's the entertainment. out here in LA,
Yeah.
we got tons of stuff to pull from. So, which is one reason why, like tailgates out here are not as big as you might see them in the Midwest, because in the Midwest and some of
Now,
the smaller cities and states, that's all they got.
that was the entertainment for the
That's
day.
it.
That was the big entertainment. Yeah, not, and that's what I'm saying. Like growing up, but it's so funny, man. Honestly, I was talking to somebody about this the other day about how like I'm glad I got that Midwest experience, and then I'm also glad I got this like West Coast experience as well. I feel like I got the best of both worlds experience, and both sides, coming up. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's what's up, man. I mean, you're using that to kind of frame who you are, and at the same time, you're passing, some of the traditions to your kids. Because I believe you said you took maybe your son or your daughter to one of the homecoming games, and that's something that I don't have. I graduated from Long Beach State, and at the time, we
oh,
didn't have. When I started, let me say, when I started, we had a football team, but then by
yeah,
when I graduated, their football team, was no more. They, dismissed their football team, and so, I don't have the homecoming games that a lot of other colleges do. And I'm thinking of one of my friends now. He went back to Morehouse and Spelman, that whole experience, and he's sharing pictures and just connecting with the folks that he hadn't connected with in a long time. And I'm sure that's kind of what you do when you go to some of those homecoming games as well, man. You connect with old
yep,
friends, and I just wish that I had that connectivity with some of the folks at my particular college.
got it. Yeah, no, I've actually. It's so funny as I've taken the entire family back, and there's been other times when it was just me and my daughter that went, and it was just a daddy-daughter trip, and we loved it. It was a
Yeah.
good bonding experience with her, and she loves the game. And yeah, it is just a cool moment. So I'm glad I'm able to share it with them. And I know due to COVID, we haven't been back to any games since then, but I'm looking forward to the time where I can take them back at another time. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Q, man, we've been on here probably about pushing almost an hour and a half, man. And let me go ahead and pull up this real quick. If people wanted to find you, and I think I have a resource where they can find you. Let me see if I can boost it up just a little bit bigger so it's larger on the screen. Are these some accurate, some X?
yep,
Are these contacts
yeah,
accurate?
you can reach me. Yeah, if you go to the quentinholmes.com or the
Okay.
mcndj.com, there's contact us sections there on the site, and then also the social links as well. Yeah, so
Cool, man. No, I appreciate you hopping on, man, and just kind of talking about sports. We ended up talking about sports. Ended up talking about Boy Scouts. Just your commitment to your family, to your wife. Let's see, what else did we talk about, man? You talked about your dad. Hey, Kevin, I'm glad that you could make a little piece of it, man. And I know you're a busy guy up there in the Yay area, so I'm glad you hopped on for a little bit. And Bethany, thank you for watching as well. And Q, my guest, I appreciate you hopping on, man. Do me a favor. Any last words that you want to say to our guests as we close up?
yeah, like I said, I think I've said a lot here, but I just want to shout out everybody that's on here, that's listening here. I know I'm in here talking about my experience, my journey, but if nothing else, just if you have a vision, if you're a creator, like, or whatever you do, just be inspired, take baby steps, seek information, and then, as I said before, be flexible, man. I think the world as we know it has changed, and guess what? It changes multiple different times. Technology changes things, and it may just be your idea, your creativity. You're making something a little bit different, or putting your spin on it, or finding a platform, or your voice, or your something that the world needs. So I just encourage you to find your vision, and don't leave this earth without kind of just trying something, or trying the thing that works for you, that's in your heart. So
Absolutely, spoken like a true gentleman. And then, you know what? Last thing, man, I forgot to just kind of show this particular scene right here. Here we are, man, hanging out. And you remember this photo right here, Q?
yes, that's a great picture right there. Man, come up to your family, man. Send all my best to your beautiful wife and all the kids, man. Man, that's a great shot right there.
Hey man, it was a wonderful time we had over there in Cancun, hanging out with Cicely Brooks, who was watching a little bit earlier. I do have a photo from when we were in Belize, but I don't know if I should show it because I don't know if our wives would agree with, So I'm just gonna keep it right here. I'm gonna keep it right
Right.
here. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it right here, man. But no, I appreciate you hopping in, man. And let me see if I can get to a scene real quick. Yeah, man, I appreciate you hopping in. Do me a favor, just hang out in the green room while I finish up the live, and then we'll come back and talk about it post interview. So just hang tight for me.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Blessings to you.
Hey, not a
Take
problem,
care.
my man. All right, guys. So just a wonderful guest this evening, Quentin Q, as we call him, Holmes, entrepreneur, content creator, just author, family man, and just a wonderful, cool dude. So next week, and so I appreciate you, Q, for hopping on again. Next week, we're coming live November 2nd, a couple of days after Halloween. So hopefully you'll be over your sugar high. And, this fits right in. So we have Claudine Cooper, a wife, a mother, a fitness trainer, and a masterful storyteller. Claudine is going to join us next week. Now, we're going to bump up the session just a little bit because she teaches a 6 o'clock class, something that she's taught. I think she calls it Buns and Guns or something like that. So she's been teaching this particular class at 6:30 for years and years, and so we're going to honor her commitment to teaching her class. And so we're going to join a little bit early at 5:30. So we'll probably go from 5:30 to 6, and then I might have my friend Marcus Thompson hop in next week. So we're still trying to work out the particulars. He told me today in a text message, all I have to do is remind him. So I'm gonna remind him like every day leading up to next Wednesday. So we might have double duty next week, but definitely Miss Claudine Cooper is going to join us. And, she's a wonderful, masterful storyteller, fitness guru. And so we're going to have some fun with her next week. So, you know what? I'm going to end the show right now. And I really appreciate you all watching and participating, with the discussion tonight on West Coast Wednesday. So this is what I'm going to say. This is Mr. Riley, coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
I would never say I'm self-made, I need a lot of help. Pray I never let